Every once in a while, I like to pop a Delulu pill, but I feel like nobody on this planet Earth are more delusional than Snyder Bros. On the left, we have delusion. In the middle, we have delusional optimism, and most people fall into these two categories. And then on the far end, we have flat earthers, which are a little bit more believable than what I have here in the top right, which are Snyder Bros. Now, the reason why we're even talking about this today is because Zack Snyder decided to post something here on his Instagram, and it said, Henry Cavill is Superman. And so I've put together a nice little feature presentation for you guys that is perfectly why the Snyderverse will not happen. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Now, if you don't know anything about hashtag release the Snyder Cut, this absolutely dwarfed all of Twitter for like a good year, 2 years, 3 years. And to be fair, I was a part of that time. Mind you, I was only like 17, 16 years old. So you kind of just start falling into this trap of like, hey, everyone's doing it, I'm gonna fucking do it too. So if you don't know, Zack Snyder, he unfortunately lost a family member around this time. He was like midway through filming. So Josh Whedon had to come in, and he was the one who ended up finishing the Justice League. Justice League was dog shit. But they spent $300 million in 2017 in trying to get this film up and going, not including like the reshoots, not including VFX. And then it came out and it absolutely flopped and nobody really liked it. Zack Snyder, on the other hand, was saying, hey, look, my version of this movie was so good. So that led us to hashtag release the Snyder Cut. You had fans out everywhere just saying, hey, release the Snyder Cut. We want to see the Snyder Cut. HBO, they bowed in. They ended up spending an additional $70 million. In doing so, in 2017, Forbes estimated that the theatrical release lost between $50 million and $100 million, while Zack Snyder's Justice League is much better and indefinitely longer film. Which leads me into the next point. Release the Snyder Cut was 4 hours and 2 minutes long. When I decided, you know, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch Release the Snyder Cut, I was super hyped. There was the black and white version, then there was the regular version. And I said, you know what? I'm going to watch the regular version. I remember I had to talk to my ex-girlfriend at the time. I told her like, hey, like I'm going to be gone for probably 5 hours. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to enjoy every single bit of this Snyder Cut. I had to cut that bitch into 4 different parts. Like 3.5 really, but like 4 different parts. A pee break, and then 1, 2, 3 split in half. I'm not sitting through a 4-hour fucking movie. Okay, cool. It's a 4-hour. If you don't understand it, then it's just you're too small, pea-brained, you fucking imbecile, you TikTok fucking loser. I get it. Whatever you want to say, you can fucking say. But problem is, 4-hour film is just not going to work for everybody. If you want it to work, you gotta cut it down. Reason number 2 as to why the Snyderverse will never be restored. Dwayne the Cock Johnson. The hierarchy of power in the DC universe did not change whatsoever. It actually went the exact opposite direction after he decided to jam his thumb directly inside the ass cheeks of DC Studios. The problem was he tried to stronghold himself into this position of power that was not supposed to be his. $300 million worldwide they spent on the marketing, the production, everything. Ended up making $395 million worldwide. Now, if you're a mathematician, you probably put 2 and 2 together and you said, okay, it made $395 million. They made it for $300 million, meaning it was profitable $95 million. And you are right, my friend. You were smarter than a 5th grader. Problem is, they don't really talk about this. Theaters and promoters and so on and so forth, they take half, meaning about $190 million was gone. $190 million. $190 million. Now, you tell me, I don't think that I have the currency to even match $190 million or even see $190 million in my entire fucking lifetime. But on top of the fact that it was an absolute flop at the box office with critics, it ended up getting a 39%. Now, mind you, Rotten Tomatoes is not like the end-all be-all of like, okay, when I see Rotten Tomatoes, I'm going to either see a film or fuck a film. That's not how that works. Most of the time, Rotten Tomatoes is kind of dog shit. But in this case scenario, they're kind of right. But then to make matters even worse, right? After he tried to stronghold himself after flopping, making 50% of the movie, it didn't really do good in Rotten Tomatoes. Nobody really liked it, including myself. He tried to stronghold himself by putting Henry Cavill there at the end of the movie. And the reason why he did that is because he knew that fans would get hyped up. He knew that everyone had wanting this version of Superman to be the version of Superman that we end up getting to see. Which, me too, Man of Steel is probably top 5. Probably a top 5 superhero movie, probably of all time. It's an amazing film. I can't deny that. But then you see Henry Cavill go off and post a video 2 days after release saying, hey guys, you guys might have seen me Yeah, I'm in the movie.
I wanted to make it official that I am back as Superman.
And the hierarchy of the DCU is gonna change. It didn't. And to me, I honestly, and in my heart of hearts, believe it was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson that told Henry Cavill, please post this video. This video is going to put us in this point where, no, what are they gonna do now? What are they gonna do? It didn't do anything. Clock that. But mind you, this is also coming directly off of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Foreshadowing. I did it. Now, if you're a business analytical mind like myself, I'm just an absolute genius when it comes to business. As you could tell, my $455 million studio here, I am a savant of my time.
How much money you make?
$70,000 last month. Technically, $72,000.
You show me a pay stub for $72,000 on it, I quit my job right now and I work for you. Hey, listen, I quit.
And so if you think like me, you're thinking, well, what is the business side, right? Like, where are the numbers lying at? Well, on the business side, over at AT&T, let me give you a quick little story time. Warner Bros. And AT&T. In 2018, AT&T acquires Warner Bros. And everything that they already own for about $108 billion pretty much after tax. In 2019, 2020, they said, we're going to create HBO Max. Now, unbeknownst to them, and I can't blame them for this, but unbeknownst to them, only 4, 5, 6, 7 months later, they didn't know, but this little thing called the Rona would hit the earth. And it was 2020 to 2021, and it was an absolute massive pandemic. If you were there, if you know what I'm saying. They decided, you know what, this kind of ends up working out because we just released this new streaming service, and with the streaming service, with the coronavirus, that means everyone's going to stay at home. Everyone's going to stay home. Little did they know, they were going to fuck the entire movie industry because you know what they were going to do? You know what their strategic plan was? They're going to roll out the movie the same day that it gets released theatrically. They're going to release it on HBO Max. And to be fair, that was actually a pretty smart plan because they ended up getting millions and millions and millions of people actually signing up. But then 2022 rolls around, right? And they say, you know what? We need to merge with somebody. So what did they do? They said, you know what? We're going to merge with Warner Bros. Discovery. We're going to become a new company, or a branch technically of a company, creating Warner Bros. Discovery. Funny little part. Come here. This is our little secret, okay? The reason why they had to merge was because AT&T, you remember the company we were talking about here just not too long ago? They fell about $100 billion.
$100 billion.
$100 billion. Mind you, they bought this company in 2018 for about $108 billion after tax. By this point, they had lost $100 billion from its 2018 peak. David Zaslav came in and he said, you know what, Batgirl, fuck that. Nope, bye. That ended up becoming a tax write-off. He ended up inheriting $50 billion of debt. $50 billion is a couple bucks, right? Then he hired the GOAT himself, James Gunn. Which leads me into my next point. The hiring of James Gunn was a genius move. Superman had a $225 million budget. Remember how earlier we were talking about $300 million for the hierarchy of the DCU that was just about to change? Yeah. The problem with that, right, was that half of the theaters and the promoters, they take about 50%. So it goes from 395 million to maybe 190 million, so on and so forth. Maybe somewhere in that ballpark. When they made Superman on a $225 million budget, they ended up making $615 million, right? Cut that in half, you're talking about $315 million. On a $225 million budget, that is still a profit. But hold on, there's more. They made this movie in Ohio. Now, if you don't understand how Ohio works when it comes to making theatrical releases, you get a 30% tax credit. Now, let me explain this to you. Very simple math for us business savants here. Let's imagine I spent $50 million on a theatrical release for a movie. I get $15 million back from the state of Ohio, simply for making that movie there. If you don't call that a business savant, then I don't know what is. I don't know what a business savant is. Let's assume that they had the $225 million budget. They get a 30% tax credit. So on top of the $315 million that the movie made, they get that extra tax credit, okay? Now, if you ask me, 2 plus 2 equals 4. But if you ask a Snyder bro, 2 plus 2 might equal Snyderverse, okay? You're telling me that the movies before, besides Man of Steel, was an absolute, obviously, it was a box office success, and it was an absolutely amazing movie. But it was a steep decline. It was a steep decline, okay? Yet, James Gunn did not only make Superman, in Ohio. He then made not one season of Peacemaker, but two. He made 2 seasons of Peacemaker. Season 1, from beginning to end, absolute fucking masterpiece. Season 2, all the way from episode 1 to episode 7, masterpiece. Episode 8, dog shit. But with that being said, these are the reasons why the Snyderverse will never be restored. The Snyderverse is not going to be restored simply on the basis of these 4 factors. That the release of Snyder Cut was an absolute failure. On top of the fact that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fucked up every single one of those chances for you. On top of the fact that AT&T absolutely tanked the business side of this company. And number 4, the hiring of James Gunn and his success. If you ask anybody on planet Earth who the Martin fucking Scorsese of comic book movies is, they will say it's James Gunn. Guardians 1, 2, and 3. Peacemaker 1, Peacemaker Season 2, Superman. Man of Tomorrow is going to be coming out. The Green Lantern TV show, although not directed by him, he probably has some strings attached, somewhat like Kevin Feige in his role at the MCU. With that being said, hopefully our Snyder Bros are able to comprehend that they live in a bubble somewhere over here with nobody and by themselves. But with that being said, that's pretty much it. Love you boys. Peace.